Success should make us feel more confident, right? So, why does it sometimes do the opposite? Today, we are going to talk about why it is that sometimes we get in our own way. We are our own worst critics. We are our own biggest obstacles. We can self sabotage when things are going well. We can have a hard time trusting when life is giving us open doors and good signals. And as always in these videos, I'm going to use myself as an example. So, you might notice that I haven't posted a video in the past month or two, and partially that's because I've been busy. I've been sick a couple times actually, but I've also, to be completely honest with you, I've had a little bit of self-sabotage going on. My channel has grown a tremendous amount in the past year, and I thank you very much to everybody who has watched and subscribed. We've grown from maybe like 4,000 subscribers to at this point over 25,000. In the last year, I started a coaching business, allowing me to pretty much redefine my life on my own terms in a lot of ways. Doing what I love to do, working with people. Life has provided me with a lot of open doors, right? Pathways forward. And what I want to share with you is that I've noticed a tremendous resistance in me, not in life, but in me to stepping through those doors. And this gets to the root of, I think, what causes us so many problems in life. It's not really the world. Like, yes, of course, there are significant problems that are outside of our control, but we can't underestimate the problems that are within our control, the areas where we do limit ourselves, sell ourselves short, and really undercut our own efforts, our own strides forward in life. And this is the process by which our assumptions, our idea of ourself, our ego, our comfort zone really becomes the obstacle to the success which it itself, we ourselves, are seeking. In other words, you might have a self-image that says you're not good enough at something, you can't do something, and then when the opportunity comes to prove yourself wrong, to prove that you could do it, that very same self-image that says you can't gets in the way, says, well, hold on, you can't do that. Pump the brakes, man. This is impossible. And then we experience fear, doubt, insecurity, whatever, that makes us less likely to take the step. There's an ancient saying about this. When an archer shoots for fun, they are unimpaired. When they shoot for the prize of a brass buckle, they are already nervous. And when an archer shoots for a prize of gold, they go blind. They see two targets. Everything's chaos. And what I have found as my business has grown, as my channel has grown, is that if I'm not careful, I can experience an old version of me, an old self-image that is not based on current reality, but that gets in my very real doubts and insecurities. Even though I make these videos, rest assured, I am still very human, and I experience thoughts like, man, what is it that people see in these videos? Do I really have anything to offer? What if I'm wasting people's time? It's difficult in that space for us, for me at least, right, to see past myself. There's so many opportunities there. As I said, my business has grown, my channel has grown, life has given me thumbs up in just about every field I've expressed interest to. The hesitation has almost exclusively been in me, in that little inner insecure voice that says, what if you can't do it? What if you fail? What if it's not good enough? What if you disappoint people? What if, blah, 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 blah. And I find that it's very easy to lose track of big picture goals, big meaningful things we can do in our lives. And I've seen this in clients I work with in a number of fields, notably relationships, right? The way we relate to ourselves in a relationship impacts who we see ourselves as worthy of dating, right? So we might put somebody on a pedestal and say, I wish I had that person. By imagining them as up here and ourselves as down here, we've already created this strange dichotomy that doesn't naturally exist. So then, inherent in that perception, the desire to get them, because they're up there, is necessarily paired with a resistance that says we don't deserve them. My idea of myself as down here provides both the motivation and the resistance to get the person who I idealize as being up here. And in that resistance, strangely, we also miss the point of the person, because the person we've projected as being up here is just another human with flaws and benefits. They've got their good side, their bad side. But when they are projected as the ideal up here, now we're chasing our own inner psychological validation, saying, I'm down here, but if I were to get up there, it would mean so much for me. So the person becomes a goal based on the psychological payoff for you. This might seem like a slight tangent to wrap it back around for these videos. As the audience grew, as I felt the expectation for me to be a certain way, to present a certain thing, to guide people, a feeling of responsibility. With that, there was a sort of paralysis that came in. Psychologically, from my perspective, I wanted to impress you people. I wanted you guys to like the videos. I want you guys to get something meaningful out of it, right? And that's all fine and dandy, but if that becomes an obstacle to the videos, it's sort of this weird thing. It's like the relationship where wanting the relationship so badly becomes an obstacle to truly seeing the other person from a balanced perspective. When an archer shoots for a prize of gold, they see two targets. The way we see ourselves as fixed, largely subconsciously, we might not even consciously notice this, but if you find that a certain person you really like and you're just like, oh, but they wouldn't like me, you automatically tell yourself no, right? I automatically tell myself no. Same thing with a job. You might envision, what if I could run this company? What if I could start my own nonprofit? What if I could, be an artist? What if I could be creative? What if I could whatever? An internal voice says, no, that's not you. That you, that you might think you are, psychologically gets in the way of the possibility that is inherently there for somebody else who doesn't have that voice that says no. For me, then, stepping into that arena has become increasingly difficult as this channel has grown. So part of the reason I'm making this video is simply to say, I'm going to make a conscious effort to not let that direct me, because I realize that it is not based in truth, and if anything, it keeps me small and afraid in this kind of weird internal psychological trap, rather than able to fully connect and express what I'm interested in, talk about things I'm passionate about, and hopefully reach an audience and resonate. And if you enjoy it, that's something meaningful for you too. Maybe you learn something, maybe you share something, maybe it unlocks something, or maybe you hate it, but it still stimulates a thought process at least, right? In that, there's the truth of it, which is that we are just humans out here doing our best, right? And I don't need to be something for you, and you don't need to be something for me. And to that point about getting in our own way, about our concept of self standing as an obstacle to our own development, I've had so many people reach out to me with some variation of a basic concept where they are either in a relationship with somebody who is drifting away from them, or they want to be in a relationship with somebody who's a little bit out of reach, or they just got broken up with somebody and they really want that person back in their life. At its core, what that is we are chasing something that doesn't really want us. We can look at it a lot of ways. We can give people a lot of grace, and there's a lot of ways to interpret it. But at its core, if we really break it down, the person who's creating distance, or who's not texting you back, or whatever it might be, they're probably just not that into you. We want it to change, because if it were to change, it would be a symptom of us having earned our value, right? Once again, if I could get this, it would mean I'm up here. What I really want then is not actually this person. This person becomes symbolic of me being up here. What I really want, if I'm in that state when I make a video, is to get a bunch of views, because, oh my gosh, it'd be so great. It's not to make a video. It's not to authentically resonate with people. That idea then becomes paralyzing. It becomes restrictive. We get caught in the thought process of wanting the thing because the thing we imagine will change something fundamentally about us. But remember, the very same thought that wants it is the thought that thinks it can't have it or it isn't enough. So in other words, the thought that thinks I'm here cannot be here because it wants to be there. It's here. It has to sort of relinquish itself to move forward, right? And this is self-sabotage. This is ourself, our idea of ourself, sabotaging our true potential, sabotaging our true reality, sabotaging where there might be open doors. We pursue the closed doors. We try to make things harder sometimes. And then when the door does open, as I've seen in my life, when I got the relationship with the girl I really wanted, I didn't feel worthy. It didn't change because I still believed I was here, right? As I've expressed in this video, even the idea of being a YouTuber or a coach is something that still gives me a little bit of imposter syndrome from time to time. I'm working on it, but it's interesting, right? The belief doesn't necessarily change despite the accumulation of external evidence. That's why it doesn't matter if you get the person who's up here, because at best you will temporarily raise your perception of self-worth, and then you'll hold on to this person. You'll try to control the situation. You'll try to stay there because if it goes away, you don't want to fall back to where you really secretly always were. And not that you actually are worthless and less than, but that belief is what must be examined, right? That belief is what must be relinquished. That belief is what motivates and undermines the behavior. It's both sides are contained within the belief. The positive being, I need to prove I'm not this. And the negative being, no matter how hard I work, this motivation comes from the thing that it's trying to get rid of. As long as that underlying ground is still there, everything that grows out of it, you can cut it down all you want. Doesn't matter. It's the roots below the system. One of the clients I work with is going through a divorce, and she's had a lot of rough periods with her husband, and she talks about feeling like a bird in a cage with the door open, but feeling like she can't leave. It'll snap shut if she tries to move, right? Her idea of herself as it pertains to this relationship has been so warped by the dynamic that leaving feels impossible, when in truth, the very situation is the thing that makes her feel trapped, right? She feels trapped in the relationship. Leaving would alleviate the trapped feeling, but the trap incorporates her idea of herself. That might sound very layered and complex, right? Really, it comes down to who we believe we are impacting the things that we do. And you can see that action naturally springs out of the way you relate to both yourself and the world. The door is open. The possibility is there. She has the resources. She has the ability. But the fear comes in the what if. The fear comes in, I can't, not me. Somebody else in my circumstance, sure, they could probably do it, but not me. Some of that, fair enough. We have to operate with the consciousness we have at a given time, right? Everybody's pretty much doing the best they can with what they have. But as we go through this self-development journey, as you learn about these things, right? As we become more aware, we start to realize that these limits that we seem to see in reality are limits that exist in us. Not that they are functionally real limits that exist in us either, but that they are a function of our conditioning of the way we see ourselves, the way we believe ourselves to be, but not truly hardwired limits in reality. And that's the strangest paradox. You'll see this all over the internet. There's people who are way less qualified than you, probably doing the thing you wish you could do. There's people who are way less attractive than you, dating the person you want to date. What does it have to do with? It has to do with their ability, for better or worse. Some people might just be con artists, right? But we artificially can hold ourselves back from stepping into the arena that we are genuinely passionate about. And if you think about that, what better place for you to be if you are a super passionate artist and you say nobody would ever love that or like my art. I really do want to be in this finance industry, but I'm just not good enough, right? We sell ourselves short and we undermine the value of that passion. We undermine the value of our true authentic essence, and then we cover it up and portray who we think is a safer version of ourselves. And in that, we become fake people. It's fake for me to not step through that door. It's an action of hiding, staying small. When you see somebody you want to go talk to and they're attractive and you feel that fear, the fear is the fakeness. You say, oh, I need to hide the way I truly feel, the thing I truly want, because my self-concept, my idea of myself gets in the way. And I think that this can be especially challenging for people who are into self-development, who are into growth, who are into learning about themselves, developing that awareness, right? As you become more self-aware, it is easy to become more self-critical. The person who is faking everything, who just lies about everything, might not be very self-aware, or they might be in some kind of denial. If you are the type of person who likes to dig deep, likes to dive deep, likes to explore yourself, then you become aware of your own limitations. But I heard a great quote: self-awareness without self-acknowledgement is self-abuse. I love that. It was on some Instagram reel I saw, but I stand by that self-awareness without self-acknowledgement is just self-abuse. And I think, unfortunately, in the realm of awareness, it's very easy for somebody who comes from a wounding, who's coming from a breakup, who's coming from getting fired, or they're losing their house, or something terrible's happening, and they have this sort of spiritual curiosity. They want to learn about themselves. They want to learn about the world. They start learning awareness, and they look at themselves and they go, oh my Lord, I've got a lot of work to do. That's only half the story, right? And giving ourselves permission on the positive side to step through those doors, giving ourselves permission to make a video. Who knows if people are going to watch it? Who knows if people are going to like it? Do your best, right? But to give myself is the lesson for me in 2025, as 2024 was this massive year of growth that I sort of resisted, if I'm deeply honest, because it made me feel uncertain. It made me feel insecure because my self-image of this past version of me kind of jumped into the driver's seat, grabbed the wheel and said, who are you to make these videos? Who are you to have people listen to you? Like, do you know what you're talking about? And I don't know everything, but I have read a lot of books. I've done a lot of inner work. I've done a lot of soul searching, and people have genuinely resonated with my videos. And that part of me is so willing to take all of that evidence and throw it away as meaningless to support its own idea of itself. Says, yeah, but those people couldn't possibly know they don't know the real you. It gets deeper and deeper. That fundamental doubt is self-defeating. No matter how much evidence, it doesn't matter. So if you are listening to it, in spite of that voice of possibility, you begin to throw away that which could change your external life out of trying to stay small, consciously or unconsciously. And I would encourage you, have some self-awareness that is also self-acknowledgement. Become aware of the areas of your life where you are killing it, where there are opportunities for you, where you might be discomfortable, or you might be uncomfortable stepping into a discomfort zone. But in doing that, you open yourself to possibility. In the past year, I have had the opportunity to work with some amazing people. I've worked with everybody from absolutely broke college students to multi-millionaires. I've worked with CEOs. I've worked with blue-collar workers. I've had the opportunity to have some very deep conversations with some people from all over the world, literally, I guess with the exception of like Africa. I've worked with people in every continent. I guess we have to probably count out Antarctica too, so I guess we're missing two. But you get the point. I've worked with a lot of people in a lot of different fields from different worldviews and had very deep conversations. And that opportunity is amazing. The possibility that has opened up in my own life, the possibility that this channel has opened up. And I would encourage you to explore those possibilities, those doors in your life that are there. And the only thing standing in your way is your idea of yourself as you are now, or as you have been. Because that viewpoint is false. You are not who you have been. You are now, you are possibility. And the tighter we cling to that past, the more rigid we become, the more hardened and brittle. It keeps us out of the flow of life, which is change possibility, the embracing of the grace that lets us change, right? We don't have to be the same that we were yesterday. We don't have to live the same repeated life. We tend to because it is comfortable, because it's known. And there's a great book by Jiddu Krishnamurti called Freedom from the Known, because the known can become a prison. We want to know, and thus we stay small. We don't step through the doors because the doors, I don't know. The doors don't gel with our self-image, but giving ourselves that grace to step into the unknown, to see that flow of life, to let ourselves be transformed by possibility, to say yes to life and let life say yes to us. Imagine if you did go all in on your passion and you let yourself walk through those doors. If you let yourself go talk to that person you're attracted to, you let yourself go talk to your boss and ask for promotion, or say what's on your mind. Whether that means leaving that job, or setting a new goal where you work for something and you move up to a different role, or going and asking that person out, or having a difficult conversation with the person you're with, how often do we hold back because I'm not that person? And then the very action of holding back confirms the belief that we are not that person. And then that sort of becomes its own little spiral, right? Which keeps us trapped in that idea. For me, at least, and maybe for you as well, the lesson is just to remember that we are all out here learning. We're all out here doing our best, and that we have permission from life to change. We have permission. You don't need to wait. You don't need to ask anybody to come choose you. For a long time, that was a thing. I wanted somebody to come tell me how great I was, but I didn't believe them because it didn't matter. Because, as I said, that same belief goes both ways. The belief that wants to be validated cannot be validated. It is a bottomless pit. Says, fill me up, but it's bottomless. No matter how much validation goes in there, no matter how much praise, the best that it will ever do is fragilely cling to whatever success it has seen, and that becomes an ugly thing too, because it makes it hard for us to let go. You see this with sometimes very rich and powerful people making fools of themselves because they're unable to let go of stupid things. See Elon Musk pretending to be one of the top video game players in the world for some reason. Why lie about that when you're the richest man in the world? Because you need to be the best. Why? Because not being the best is a threat to the idea of yourself. That's so much pressure for no reason. It's fear. It is the manifestation of fear of not being enough, of not being worthy, taken to the absolute extreme. You can have all the money, all the fame, all the success. It does not ever make a dent in that inner void. So stop trying to fill that. Accept that part of yourself. Do some inner child work, maybe. I do have a video about that. And do your best to give yourself permission to say yes to life, to step through the doors, to embrace whatever possibility comes and see what happens. Anthony DeMello, a Jesuit priest, spiritual teacher who I've drawn a lot of inspiration from, has a great quote where he speaks about the idea of prayer, right? Part of asking for what you want is simply doing the action, giving yourself permission to believe that doing the action, that God or the universe or whatever, the laws of cause and effect, will keep up their end of the bargain. And to that point, imagine if you allowed yourself to be the full passionate version of yourself. What would that mean? We hold ourselves back, we stay small, and then we say, this version of me doesn't match who I want to be. I want to be the passionate author of a book, but I'm not. If I let myself start writing, maybe I would be, but there's a fundamental conflict between the image of ourselves and the image of who we think we want to be. And in that, who we truly are gets smushed, and our ability to express, to be free, to change, to flow becomes restricted. And so for me, at least, for 2025, my goal moving forward is to remember to have fun with it. Remember to step through the doors. Remember to allow myself to be new, to move past my idea of myself, to take risks, to step into discomfort. And I'm sorry for taking so long to post this video. There's been a 2-month break, and part of that has been me dealing with this. And this video is kind of me wiping the slate clean and saying, look, this is where I'm at. I'm still very human. I still struggle with these things. I'm not fixed, and perhaps neither should you be. That's the other thing. We wait so long to start, right? Just give yourself permission to step into the arena and you'll start to change. I've learned so much from the coaching journey, how quickly I forget that allowing myself to start my business was hard in the first place. Allowing myself to make YouTube videos was hard in the first place. My question for you in 2025, what is the biggest area that you are holding yourself back? And what commitment can you make to yourself today to say, I'm going to give myself the grace to get out of my own way? Might not be an area where the world is in your way, but what areas are you in your own way? And with that, self-awareness. What self-acknowledgement do you need to give yourself? Where are you behind on your self-acknowledgement from self-awareness? There might be an abundance of self-criticism in that awareness. I know all of my faults. How about all of your benefits, all of the good sides, everything that you do bring to the table, and everything about you that you are holding back that you could probably unleash in a positive direction if you were to give yourself permission and go back to having fun, going back to creating, going back to allowing yourself to express that abundant, fun part of yourself, to move away from some of that scarcity, that terror, that clinging, and let that go just as much as you can. We're all on this journey. We're not perfect. But in that, I at least have found a path that's zigzagging all over the place. It's not a straight line, but a path that has allowed me to develop so much and learn so much about myself and has opened doors. I've had a hard time stepping through them, but I cannot deny that the universe has basically said yes. Starting this channel was something that was hard for me. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I've grown a lot, both personally and on the numbers level, And the same thing for starting my business. I didn't know what that was going to do. I didn't feel completely confident, but people were curious. I thought it would be interesting to let myself try, and it has grown. It has blossomed, and there's possibility there. And so allowing myself to trust, allowing myself to trust in the process, to trust myself to step through the open door and see what happens. So for all of us then, to return to that metaphor of the archer shooting for a prize, there might be a prize out there, but do your best to remember that it's also something you enjoy, that it's also about just the fun of the sport. It's also about not taking everything so seriously. And it's also about giving yourself permission to just do it, to just see what happens. The person who's nervous and shooting for the gold and trying to micromanage, they only win when they hit the gold. They have to beat out everybody else. But the person who's just having a good time, who's saying yes to the experience, who's not worried about the success, who's not so in their own way, they're always winning. If you want to learn more about inner child healing, as I mentioned, it relates to sort of that bottomless void and that feeling we can feel of not good enoughness. Is that a word? Check that out right here. Aside from that, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time, which will be sooner than this video took to come out, I promise. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.